in the bud early, unless there's a weirdly specific alien invasion that only abducts the Wii U's of the world. Nintendo are going to sell some of their current gen console this year. But how are they going to sell an awful lot of them? Well, I may not be the most qualified person to answer that question, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. I'm Jess McDonald, and you're watching The Gist. My first suggestion happens to play pretty well into Nintendo's court, since it happens to be something they're already working on fixing. I call it the explain the Wii U to the consumer conundrum. It may have played host to a BuzzFeed article which deemed it unbearably sad, but the brand new Wii U advertisements of earlier this year are bound to be a good thing for the console's future.
It's time for a whole new Nintendo experience. Wii owners and newcomers alike, it's time to play Wii U.
Sure, it's kind of depressing that over a year into it, Nintendo need to create a campaign reminding gamers that the Wii U is not a gamepad peripheral for the Wii, but it's a necessary temporary embarrassment. To be honest, I was a part-time video games journalist when the Wii U came out, and it took me a really long time to figure out what the damn thing was. But now with that groundwork sorted, we can head on to the marketing. In terms of technical power, the Wii U certainly doesn't really stand up to the PS4 or the Xbox One, even though technically they're part of the same console generation, although it certainly does have its merits. Merits so good that Nintendo really should be reminding you of them. Even though it can't compete on graphical power, Nintendo has brought what it always brings with its consoles: innovation. While we're splitting hairs over the minor differences between Sony and Microsoft's offerings, the Wii U is basically incomparable, and that's not just in a bad way. For example, the gamepad. Most games use it as a second screen for additional game info, but the real advantage lies in playing games on the pad without actually using your usually in-demand TV screen. Whilst this is mostly helpful for families, one big benefit that everybody can agree on is backwards compatibility. That's the same feature that those of us who are PlayStation or Xbox inclined have been moaning about not being present on their latest offerings. And I'm excluding the still relatively unclear state of PlayStation Now. The Wii U is more than happy to play your Wii games and to function with your Wii accessories. As you can probably tell, there is a theme emerging with my suggestions to Nintendo, and they basically involve telling the consumer what they're in for when they buy a Wii U. Now, this next one is pretty important because while the games used to suck, they've actually gotten a lot better. Gone are the days when the Wii U was really just home to some malformed ports and generic launch titles. There are some really enticing games on there now because, you know, it's been out for ages. Whilst it's up to Nintendo to make sure gamers know what they can get, it involves the likes of Super Mario 3D World, Wind Waker HD, Rayman Legends, and Pikmin 3. There's probably even a game on there that doesn't feature little cartoon dudes. Probably. But on that point, it is important to play to your strengths, and one of the issues Nintendo experienced when they launched the Wii U was that they weren't playing to theirs. Nintendo means family, and family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten, or something. Anyway, a lot of people think Nintendo should get a grasp on hardcore gaming and the shoot-'em-up market, but personally, I think that's a big mistake. That's not to say Nintendo doesn't make difficult games, they seriously do, but Nintendo make the magic and nostalgic universes that we throw money at time and time again, and that's pretty much where they shine. Its successful game offerings aren't the ported shooters or zombie horror titles, but the platformers and games about charming anthropomorphic dinosaurs and plumbers who don't seem to have day jobs. That brings me down to my last point. Sure, drive those core first-party franchises and iterate on them with every entry, but that can't be the be-all and end-all. Despite its rocky start, the 3DS is a great system, and while some of you may only be into it for Zelda and Pokemon, there's a load of great games on it which either use its unique hardware features really well, like Luigi's Mansion, or are just straight up great, like Fire Emblem or Bravely Default. The Wii U would do really well to try their best to follow in these tracks and not simply rest on the laurels of Mario and Zelda. Seeing more enticing exclusives like the wonderful 101 and Bayonetta 2, for example, is going to do wonders for the publisher in terms of getting Wii U's off shelves, and not in a towards the garbage sense. While I agree that the Wii U hasn't had the most steady of launch periods, I certainly don't think that it's a write-off. Then again, I may not be the most qualified person to comment on such a thing, so if you think the Wii U is doomed or if it can be saved, do let me know in the comments down below or on my Twitter where I'm at Jess McDonald. I'll be back again next week, but until then, thanks for tuning in.